by the FDA.
The IMdrive Inspirational Morning Drive.
If you believe in Jesus Christ, He's your Lord and Savior, stand at your feet. If you love to serve Jesus, come on. Let's do this. He would never, never fail. He is so faithful. He is so faithful. I am serving a living God. He would never, never fail. He is so faithful. He is so faithful. You are God, Yahweh, my God, my Jehovah, my El Shaddai, El Shaddai, one and only God, Yahweh, my God, my Jehovah, my El Shaddai, and only God, you are God. We bless your holy name, Jesus. It doesn't because we know who you are. Blessed be your holy name. All the kingdoms on that we bow before you.
It's painful part to cut in. That's Minister Newman. It's the title track on his last album. We're waiting for the second one. This one is titled You Are God on all digital platforms. Fantastic salsa, rendition. I want to go straight over to Uncle Ebo and say good morning, Uncle Ebo.
Hi, Vickie. Good morning, and how are you doing?
Doing well, by God's grace.
Minister Stubborn Newman, does he do salsa?
Yes,
Can he
he's
dance
singing
salsa?
everything.
Stubborn. Can you do salsa?
He tries.
Actually, took lessons.
Okay.
Oh.
Because of this song.
No, not lessons. Way back.
Way back then.
Yes.
When were we? Mr. Newman, I like the hat you are wearing. The day it gets lost, I'll buy you one. I'll buy you exactly the same one. From next week, Mr. Newman, please make sure when I come in here, you have a mic with you.
Okay.
Because the listeners are listening all that you are saying. You are not on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And Vickie, take a picture of him with that hat and post it on online.
Yes, please.
Mr. Newman, look at me. This way. All right, that's good. And before From the Ashes is done, we would bring you a video of Mr. Newman doing salsa. Mr. Newman, is that a deal?
With who? I can't be doing salsa. I have to see somebody else.
Well, we'll train Vickie to do that. If not, I'll bring someone from Roman to do it with you.
That would be the best.
I think I want to do Vickie.
The guy wants to run away.
What is it?
No, Vickie.
No, Vickie hasn't said anything. She hasn't said anything. She wouldn't do it, but she hasn't said anything. Don't put anything in her mouth. Well, Vickie, this morning, I want to address one of the things that often knock us down. And it is not expecting something to happen and then it happens. If you expected something and it happens, even when it is unpleasant, even when it is painful, you are able to deal with it better because it doesn't take you by surprise. The things that knock us out are the things that we did not expect to happen, and then it happens. And unfortunately, a lot of Christians have this, go through life with this naive attitude that nothing bad can happen to them and should happen to them. And when something goes wrong, they are totally thrown off and they don't know how to deal with it. So this morning, we're going to look at, again, based on the Easter story, because we just came from Easter, the Easter story, we are going to look at some of the things you could expect to happen in your life from the Easter story. Some of the things you could expect to happen in your life, but you must be strong enough to know how to deal with them. Some of the things that could happen in your life. I know that Christendom now have a new word, tofiakwa, but these are non-tofiakwable situations. You can't do tofiakwa over them. It is about life. And it is also based on the fact that we are human beings, we interact with human beings, we deal with human beings. Human beings are not perfect. Human beings can err, human beings can do all kinds of things. And so if you're a human being, a Christian, living in this world, even interacting in church with people, what are some of the things you can prepare your mind for, so that when they happen, you are not completely knocked over? Number one, you must understand that in this life, you can get into trouble for doing good. When I was younger, whenever I heard that somebody was in trouble, my assumption is that, oh, that's a very bad person. You must have done something wrong, and you must be a wicked person to get into trouble. The Easter story teaches us you can get into trouble when you haven't done anything wrong, when you have actually done good. What was Jesus's trouble? What was Jesus's wrong? What wrong had Jesus done? And yet he got into serious trouble. And I have found in my own life and in that of others, as I have grown older and become more exposed in life, that it isn't everybody who is in trouble who had done something wrong. Sometimes the person's in trouble because his good nature and good deeds became uncomfortable for some other people who had power to do him in, and they did. And we should understand that, so that when it happens, when you do good and you get into trouble, it doesn't knock you off too much. Number two, it is always someone closest to you who would put you in trouble. And that is why our favorite president in Ghana, late president, said, Sabobi Bekawa, Ofra Wontuma. It is a person closest to you, someone closest to you. And we must understand that, because sometimes, Vickie, sometimes it is not even the thing that has happened to us. It is the people involved in the thing that has happened to us that pains us even more.
Yeah.
And so, because of that, we struggle. But we must understand, this is life. It is someone closest to you who can put you into trouble. You know, because we don't preach a lot about Judas, we underestimate how close Judas was to Jesus. We underestimate it. He was very close to him. So close that he was one of the few who ate from the same bowl with him. So close. That was just that close. So close that he handled the finances. He was the treasurer of the group. So if Jesus wanted anything to do, he was the one he would tell. He was that close. And yet he was also the person who was willing to go and sell him out. If it happened to Jesus, it could happen to you. He said, Jesus himself said, the student is not above his teacher. So prepare your mind. That is what this one, all I want us to do is let's put our naivety aside and prepare our minds and be ready, so that when these things hit us, we don't get, whoa, what happened? What happened here? No. This is life. We are dealing with human beings, so expect it. There is a saying that I like. It said, Jesus Christ ni abona sendi emi, and I will elder. Oh, sorry, elder. Number 3. Those you expect support from will let you down when you need them the most. But when it happens, don't be upset. Don't be disappointed. That is life. That is human being. I've been in the media for a long time, and in the beginning when the private media came on stream, we had a very strong government that you had to be careful. And at the same time, because it was private media was new, there were people who went on air and spoke boldly against the government. And people would call in and say, Vickie, the work I'm in here, also. Then Vickie is picked and nobody turns up. Nobody turns up. The same people are saying, next time they go, oh, Vickie, now Vickie, when you saw Vickie, achino. No, so not happen and some no The same people who said, Vickie, koso. Vickie, you believe them when they pick you.
You go alone.
You go alone. But it's okay. That is life. That's human being. That is human nature. And none of us should be upset about that. People are like that. Number 4. There will be no shortage of people willing to bear false witness against you. There will be no shortage. Sometimes we deceive ourselves and saying, as for me, I don't get into anybody's business, and so I don't expect anybody to get into my business. Oh, you are lying bad. You are lying bad. You're going about your business quietly, minding your own business, but some people have made you their business and you have no idea. Vickie, seriously. They know what you wear every day and they pass the word. Hey, not said red top will be. Hey, by the way, meanwhile, these are people you've never, maybe the most you've done is to even pass and just say good morning.
Yeah.
So you've never stopped to engage them. But you are their business. They discuss you. The things they don't know about you, they make it up. And they fill the gaps with their own about you, and because they fill it up, there are people who lie and then they believe their own lie. So then it becomes truth for them.
Yeah.
So it began like a lie, but when they heard themselves say it, it convinced them. And so then that lie has become a fact for them. There will be no shortage of people willing to bear with false witness against you. And when that happens, don't be too upset. It's life. People you've never spoken to, people who you didn't think even knew your name. God bless us with a wonderful man called Kwabena Kwanson. He was in the security, national security. At one point, he was head of BNI. He was also the one who established the narcotics control board in Ghana. A man who, I think at one point, he headed the CID. He's been in intelligence and security all his life. And the wonderful thing Mr. Kwanson did for us is that he puts on paper some of his experiences and thoughts. And one of the things, when you read his books, you would discover are people who can go to national security to report you when they can't even recognize you. They don't know you. So they've gone. Oh, there's this girl, B. Your friend Vickie, Amoah. Yes, so ye Juma wo, Sunny. Bonnie be all ye no. So they send, and in one case, fortunately for him, because he knew some of these things, he brought the guy who did the report in, and invited a person on about whom the report has been made and said, you come into the room when this guy enters. And then the guy comes and he's reporting about this man, and the man is standing right there, and he didn't know that is the man.
Wow.
He had just heard the name and decided, oh, that and he has concocted a story. There will be no shortage of people who will bear false witness against you, and be ready for it. It's like, you know what our people say, that if you don't have a sore on you, you think the housefly is a very harmless insect. Until you have a fly. You have a sore, then you realize that the housefly is a nuisance, big time. Number 5. Number 5, and Vickie, let me make a disclaimer here. Number 5 may offend some people. But if it offends you, remember the person talking is also a Christian. I know I'm speaking on a Christian platform. But if those of us who are Christians cannot be critical of ourselves so we can get better, then who should be? So number 5. Religious people can be very dangerous when they are doing wrong, because they do evil in the name of God. Religious people, let me be much more specific, Christians, can be very dangerous because when they do evil or they do what is wrong, they believe they are doing it in the name of God. And there is no one more dangerous than someone thinking that he is doing whatever he is doing in the name of God. Christians can be dangerous. Now, again, remember, this is a Christian talking. Yes, I'm talking on a Christian platform. If you haven't recognized this, please keep quiet and thank God that you haven't recognized this. You haven't experienced this. Keep quiet and thank God. And pray that you never, ever encounter this, because it's one of the most difficult things to encounter. But the point is, and I'm sure if we open the phone lines, there will be many people who will call in to talk about how shocked they were when people they were looking up to spiritually were the very people who moved against them, were the very people who put them in trouble, were the very people who did them injustice. And sometimes when they are doing that, they think they are doing it in the name of God. When they moved against Jesus, the chief priests and co thought they were doing it in the name of God. You know, that's why they would say blasphemy. You know, they thought they were doing it in the name of God. Vickie, the trouble is this. Christians know the right thing because the Bible teaches us the right thing. We are taught the right thing. We are taught the right way to respond to every situation. And unfortunately for us, because we read it and we are taught it, we think we know it. We think we practice it. We do not realize that knowing is one thing. Practicing it is another thing. That is number 1. Number 2, there are Christians who believe they are automatically better than anybody else because they are Christians, that their human nature is totally gone. And I'm here to say, no, that is not true. Vickie, have you not met a Christian gossip? A Christian who gossips more than any other person you know, but he's there, will sing praise and worship with you. And will pray in tongues with you. But those are the people who come to you and say, hey, we should pray. We should pray for Sister Vickie. Have you heard? Then they come with all the gossip, and then they end it with, so we should pray. We should really pray for Sister Vickie. Religious people can be very dangerous because when they do evil, they believe they are doing it in the name of God. Number 6, those closest to you will doubt you But you, don't doubt yourself. Jesus said, I'll be arrested, I'll be tried, I'll be handed over to sinners, I'll be crucified, but on the third day, I'll rise again. Nobody was there. Even when Mary and co went back with evidence, with the information that the Lord is risen, the disciples thought, what nonsense? It's nonsense. What you are saying is nonsense. Those closest to Jesus doubted. And quite often, many of us, as soon as we discover that the people closest to us don't believe we are capable of some of the things we are aspiring to, we give up. No, that's no reason to give up. In fact, that is why you should even be more determined to prove them wrong and say, just watch me, I'll show you. But unfortunately, many of us at that point give up and say, hey, maybe I'm trying to do too much. And then we allow them to have their way. Number 7. No matter what people do against you, make sure you don't get bitter. Learn to pray, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. No matter what people do against you. And remember, I said, we are human, we live with humans, even in the church. Even though there are a lot of Christians who don't want you to think they are human, they think they are superhuman, we are human. And people will disappoint you. People will shock you. People will alarm you. They will fail you. It doesn't matter. They are human beings. The heart of man is deceitful and desperately wicked. We don't like to preach that. The heart of man, and normally when we even come upon these verses, we think it applies to those who haven't received Christ yet, who are not Christians. But even the heart of a Christian is deceitful and desperately wicked. If you don't believe me, look at the number of Christian brothers who sometimes string about 3 girls along in the church, in the same church, in the choir. He's a Christian brother. Messed all of them up. Why? The heart of man is deceitful and desperately wicked. The choir master is laughing. Why? Mr. Newman, why are you laughing? What can I say, Biana? So people may not always live up to expectation. It doesn't matter. Don't get bitter. And if you must pray, Father, forgive them. Don't hold anybody in your heart. Don't hold anybody in your heart ever for doing anything against you. Don't hold anybody. That one, let it be a resolution you make. A resolution you make that is unshakable. You are not going to give anybody permission to take space in your heart after the person has caused you pain. Because the person has already cost you a lot. Why give him even more opportunity to continue harming you and costing you? So no matter what people do against you, make sure you are not bitter. And the reason will become clear in number 8. In number 8, I say, let people do their worst, because that is when God does his best. Let people do their worst, because that is when God does his best. In other words, resurrection is possible. What that means is that whatever people do against you, they couldn't have done it if it wasn't part of God's will. And God always moves several steps ahead of their malice, of their evil, of their wickedness. He does of their viciousness. He is several steps ahead of them, and he knows, even before that whole process begins, I can let go. I know what good will come out of this. And that is why you don't hold anybody in your heart, because the only reason why God cannot move in any situation like that is because you are harboring the pain. And he would have to wait for that pain to go before he can then turn that situation around for you and make it work for good for you. I say to people that anybody who moves against you has just recruited himself as your servant. Anybody who moves against you. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Anyone who makes himself your enemy has enrolled himself to serve when you are at table. Because listen to that verse. It says, thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. What are my enemies doing when I'm at table?
Serving.
They are serving. Because they won't sit at table with me. They are serving. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Anybody who decides that you, Vickie, I don't like you, I will never like you, that person has immediately enrolled himself to serve God's purposes in your life. That is a wonderful thing. So, in a sense, when somebody says, I don't like you, or makes us his or her enemy, that is another vessel God can use to get us where we need to be. Because the places God needs to raise us to, he will need an enemy's action to get us there. So when somebody says, I don't like you, I will show you, go home and say, God, there's another one, there's another recruit. There's another recruit for me. For my good, for my good. And that is why we shouldn't be angry. So if you forget everything I've said today, let every pain go. Don't give anybody space in your heart. Resurrection is possible. It's all about God. It's not about you. It's not about them. So live your life and be joyful. Rejoice, again I say, rejoice.
God bless you, Uncle Ebo. Message coming in. This is a text message. It says, good morning, Sunny FM. God bless you and increase you in all the good works you guys are doing. And it's from Wonder Grace Child. On Facebook, Wendy says, good morning, family, uncle. The part I don't get is the making it up. For what reason? They think they have destroyed you, but some way, somehow, God turns things around after all the troubles and just tripped. And they have destroyed you, but some way, somehow, troubles, and they look at you in awe. Thank God for deliverance. Thank you, Uncle Ebo. Thank you, Sunny FM and Sunny TV. She says, yes, so, Uncle, very difficult. So true. Yes, they think it is, they do it in the name of God until the scale falls off their eyes and they start relating to you. Some are much older people, Uncle. Yes. Lord help us. Joy says, thank you so much for the reminder, Uncle Ebo. You are right. Blessing always. So sad. They laugh over it now. Okay, we laugh over it now and thank God. But when going through it, we cry so much. Lord, help us not to hold anyone in our hearts. Joyce Nana Ama Menu says, Amen. Ivy says, oh God, mercy your uncle. So true. Religious people do wrong things in God's name. God forgive all those close around me and who think evil of me. God help us not to hold them in our hearts. Eli says, let people do their worst. That's when God does his best. Joyce Okansa says, God bless you, Uncle. Uncle Ruby says, so how do you let go of this person who has hurt you so much?
It's your decision. Because it's your heart, it's your mind. So you just say, get out of me. I won't think about you. And also superimpose upon the pain that person has caused you God's purposes and what God can do with this. The good that God can bring in this, if only you let go of your bitterness. And that will help you let it go.
Thank you so much, Uncle Ebo, for this time. We're looking forward to tomorrow. God willing. All right, so From the Ashes was brought to you by Zesta Tea and Secure Pails. We are back tomorrow once again with Uncle Ebo at exactly 8:30 a.m. Now, in adhering to the commitment to quality, Zesta Tea keeps the quality, purity, and the taste of tea alive from tea garden to teacup. It is filled with antioxidants. There are no age barriers to choose in Zesta. It is believed to reduce the risk of heart attack and strokes. It helps with weight loss and fat burn. It also boosts the immune system. Zesta comes in refreshing ranges: strawberry, ginger, lemon, apple, and many other flavors. Stay strong, drink Zesta. Zesta, the original taste of tea. More messages coming through. Yin says, the Lord will always work it out for our good. Secure Pill is a daily contraceptive pill. It's oral, taken by women to prevent unplanned, pregnancies. They are able to, have this choice to plan their lives and their families. With Secure, they say you decide. As IMdrive Sunny 88.7. Thank you so much for joining in. Another song ringing in my head. Donnie McCracken, let it go.